One surprising thing that I found about engineers are oftentimes nice people, try to please whoever they work with. I worked with quite a few engineers in my team to just make them be a little bit less nice, a little bit more assholeish, a little bit more selfish, because it helps them and it helps the overall project. To try to make the world a little bit more knowledgeable and a little bit better, a little bit more efficient by the knowledge that I have, how would that be? How would I structure that? In that kind of situation, I had my phone with me and I had just enough connection to make a 911 call at the very last possible moment. With like breaking voice, I was able to explain to the Coast Guard what's happening. Then my phone died.
Dennis.
Hello, Victor. Nice to see you.
Welcome to the DiceE podcast. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
That's great. It's the first time I see the person who actually smarter than I am. Sometimes I don't worry to admit it even, because if I'm not mistaken, you start working in programming and software engineering, like programming per se, when he was really young. And after you grow to really interesting information, he was working in a big tech company, right? Which we're not going to be discussed. But guess what? You're managing people right now, and you're giving a lot of interesting presentations about stuff what I really enjoy learning about, like programming, how AI works, and how algorithm works, and all of that stuff. So I think it will be a really interesting conversation today. And I hope you will have fun while we're doing it.
Yeah, likewise. And thank you for the good words. I'm more than happy to share some of the insights that I have. Yeah.
Please roll the dice.
All right. The first question.
Number 4. Roll it. Come on.
All right. We're doing it like the old school way.
Yeah. 20. Awesome. What do you love to do in your free time?
Oh, that's a question that I can talk about for hours. But at least currently, I do love to do any sort of sports, mostly water sports. It's some people do meditation to sort of get their mental state in the right place. I just go launch the kite, do the surfing for a couple hours. That's my meditation. It's good for the body. It's good for the mind. It's perfect.
Yeah. When did you start doing that type of sport?
Yeah. I mean, you get to places, you see cool people doing cool stuff, and some of these cool things you tried by yourself. So that's what happened to me. I think I went to San Francisco once, saw the surfers surfing, and I was like, wow, this looks pretty cool. Let me get back home and let me try it. So went back home, I tried it. I failed a lot of times. Finally got there. I really enjoy sort of being the one with nature sometimes, because my work and my life is full with people, and it's sort of hard to constantly keeping up the pace with this. Sometimes you just need to pull back, recharge, relax, clear your head from all the thoughts, and just focus on water, on the wind, and nothing else.
This is pretty cool.
Yep.
Well, where do you grow up?
So I grew up in Russia. I was born in Samara. That's a city in the western part of Russia. It's a beautiful city in the summertime. It's like probably Russian Miami, I would say. There is a rumor that we have the most beautiful girls in Russia, in my home city. And it's a nice place in summer. Obviously, winters are brutal. And my life there was related to like a lot of education kind of things. So I was studying heavily because I liked it, and because I also saw this as one of the ways of getting out of poverty. Like I grew up in the 90s. and that at that time in Russia, it wasn't really like a happy time for the country.
Yeah.
The Soviet Union just collapsed. There was little to no police on the streets. There was a lot of criminal activity going around. So growing up in this environment, I knew that I don't want to be a criminal. I don't want to go that part of the world. And running businesses is very hard in Russia too, because well, at some point you need to either become a criminal or start working with criminals as a protection against other criminals.
Yeah.
So that kind of part of the world didn't really excite me, and I saw another opportunity that, well, if you become really an expert in something, that's another way for you to succeed. So I took that route, and yeah, it turned out to be a good idea. Worked out pretty well.
Yeah, what hobbies was while you was growing up?
I was mostly kind of indoor guy, I would say. So it's mostly reading books, doing math in the high school. Uh, there was a lot of things that I tried in my childhood. I guess I'm sort of a person that likes to try things, see how it goes. If it doesn't go well, just turn it down. So I was playing tennis. I was doing soccer. I was breakdancer at some point. But none of this really stick. So the only thing I think that I was able to carry over from my childhood to the adulthood is sort of this passion for science, more specifically computer science, and also the passion to learn continuously. And I think the latter one is probably more important, because I noticed a lot of people in my life, they feel comfortable learning something and then just using that knowledge for the rest of their life and not learning anything else. And I think for me, there was a thing that I was always trying to avoid. And I sort of still in that kind of mental state where I'm feeling like, hey, if I'm not learning something new, if I'm not growing, what am I doing with my life?
I understand. You told me that you was able to start coding or learning coding like since you were 7. How was the experience during that time? Like,
oh yeah, so I guess my uncle, when I was 5, he brought a computer, and I was just witnessing video games on that thing, and I was like, wow, this is something else. This is not TV. This is not radio. This is the next level. This is probably the future. And I was 5. So I was really interested to understand, well, how can I actually create this kind of video games myself? Like, what would it take? And that brought me to programming. So I started programming pretty early, around 7, 8. It's basically as soon as I landed my hands on a personal computer with a very old operating system. This was even before Windows or before Apple really done anything. So it was year of like 1995-ish. And yeah, it was just exciting to, you create something out of nothing. And if you basically want to write a program that does something, for a younger me, that feeling was like feeling like you are the god. You are the creator of something. You create something out of nothing, and it works. And it works continuously and repetitively. Like, for example, I create a simple, even before the middle school, I think, I create a simple program that allows you to play a card game against computer. So you create a very basic algorithm for the card game, for the Russian card game called The Rock. And you create just the very basic rules of how computer plays. And you also create a very, like a simple primitive interface on how do you make the plays. And that was cool because I created that, and it made me, it helped me to basically play again against computer. Sometimes win, sometimes lose. So that was exciting. And I guess after this sort of a childhood experimentation with programming and just reading books about programming, in my high school, I joined a very good high school in my home city, probably one of the best schools, maybe in the entire country.
Was it private?
It was semi-private, yeah. Like we paid an extra fee, but it was basically a school that's focused on science, mathematics, computer science, and all of that. And there I got a formal education on the algorithms, on like basically the basics of real programming, how things are, system design, and all of that. And I had very good teachers there, and that really set me up for later success in life.
Understood. Do you remember any books you was reading from that time period?
I remember that I read
just one. Pick one.
I read a lot of books. I was like a book consuming monster back in the days. I just basically any book that I can get my hand on, I was trying to read. And my mom worked as a librarian, so she worked in the library. So I basically had unlimited access to whatever books they had. I can just basically walk in and walk around and say, okay, these 3 books about certain language, I can read them for the next couple of weeks. So I don't really remember a specific book per se, but I just remember that, well, this unlimited access to the books was actually insanely helpful. Because remember, there was the day before Google. There was a day before the internet. And like library back then was this knowledge base that people used to actually get the recent knowledge. Obviously now it's totally different. You want to learn something today, you just go watch YouTube video. In 5 minutes you learn it. Back in the day, it was more difficult.
Guys, you probably didn't know about it, but I have my own coaching website. You're welcome to follow it in the link down below and see a lot of really important information about my coaching, about my courses. Don't forget to subscribe to my mailing list, where I will be talking more about my future upcoming products and my future upcoming podcast. Keep tuned and let's get back to the show. You see, that's exciting. Roll the dice.
All right. Dice number 2. 5.
What is your favorite food?
Oh, this is an insanely hard question to answer.
Well,
so, and I guess this probably somewhat correlated to some of the recent changes that I was trying to implement in my life. So I would say that at least currently, my favorite food is probably steak. And I think cooking steak is more of an art than a science. Like, because it involves a lot of stuff. It involves seasoning, it involves like some marinating stuff. Then when you cook it, how do you let it, be cooked, then rested? You can cook steak in a variety of different ways, and it turns out to be like a different meal every single time. And I also enjoy steaks because it's very nutritious and it's very healthy. So I recently became more of a health aware guy per se. So I'm not that young of a person anymore. I'm in my late 30s. So I'm trying to make sure that I'm not eating a lot of carbs, that I'm eating enough protein to support the muscle and the workouts that I have. And steak is just a perfect combination of something that is tasty, something that is also challenging to cook properly, something that allows me to experiment a lot with the cooking, and something that is also healthy. Like for example, if I eat steak every day for lunch, I think that's a good, reasonable way to keep me happy and also keep me healthy. So,
where's the best steak you tried from?
Well, I just came from Japan, and they have this amazing Wagyu steaks that are like very fatty, very oh my god, they're so good. So I have a challenge now of going back home and just try to cook the same exact steak. I'm pretty sure that I'll fail about 10 times, maybe 20 times, but I'm pretty sure that at some point I will get to the same kind of cooking that Japanese people have.
If you need help with that, let me know. I'll send you the recipe.
Well, you're more than welcome to come and enjoy some of the results of that difficult and heavy work.
I will definitely enjoy it. How long have you stayed in your hometown, and when you was slowly moving away from Russia? Like, basically, immigrating to US?
Yeah, so the immigration story actually came kind of out of nowhere because when I was in Russia, when I finished my high school that I was really enjoying, uh, I went to the college, but the college wasn't challenging enough.
Hmm.
And one of the professors in the college just recommended me, like, hey, maybe you should start working because it seems like you're just bored in all of the lessons. So I was full time in the college, and I started working as an engineer when I was 19. Uh, and I'm not exactly sure how it happened, but by the age of 23, I reached the ceiling uh, in my company, in the engineering company. So it was very little for me to grow into as an engineer. So the technical problems that we had, uh, they were not challenging and difficult enough for me.
Hmm.
And these problems were probably the top problems that this company was solving. Like I can for sure go into management, I can for sure go into like other non-technical areas of the company, but technically speaking, that was the limit, that was the top.
Hmm.
uh, and that company that I was working on, it was also one of the best engineering companies in the entire city.
Hmm.
So basically, I figured that, well, if I want to grow as a technical person, there is nowhere for me to go at the age of 23, which is extremely young.
Hmm.
Uh, and I guess I probably got lucky with the people that I worked with. They taught me a lot. And I was also focused heavily on both education and work. So that basically helped me to sort of speed run my uh, start of my career in the first few years. And then I was not happy about it. I mean, I was living a very comfortable life at the age of 23. I have my own apartment, I have my own car, I have a lot of money for my city, so things are going pretty well. But I knew that this is not like I knew that I can do more,
Hmm.
much more. And the question there was, well, if I need to move out of from my home city, from the area that I live in, uh, what should that be? One option was to move out to Moscow. Moscow has a lot of opportunities. It's a big city. It works a lot with. There is a lot of work in Moscow that is not just for Russian clients. It's also for the international clients too.
Yeah.
Or I can go and try different country.
Hmm.
And I did have some of my friends immigrating into European countries. I did have some of my friends immigrating to Australia. Uh, and I decided to try US because it seemed to me, at least at that time, that United States seems like uh, a good choice as a country to live in, and also a good choice for the engineers. Obviously, everybody knows about Silicon Valley. It's a world famous thing. So this is what I was targeting for, and I got lucky to get to the United States because my way of thinking was that, hey, let me start with the best and try to get there. If I fail there, I'll try Europe. If I fail with Europe, I'll try Australia. If I fail with Australia, well, I'll go to Moscow. It's impossible to to fail with going to Moscow.
So you basically started compiling from the top choices and going
Correct.
down
Yeah.
in case of some. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, and I guess I got job offers in this exploration. I got job offers from American companies and from Singaporean company,
Hmm.
and it was an interesting choice for me to sort of see, well, U.S. versus Singapore, but uh, I guess I made the right decision for the wrong reason. I remember back in the days, I checked what is the car situation in Singapore. Like, can I have a car?
Yeah.
And the Singaporean law are pretty bad for the car owners. Like, you need to pay a lot of taxes. They don't really like people owning cars in Singapore. And I was like,
They like probably bikes and
yeah,
bicycles,
yes,
right?
yes. They really encourage public transportation. And at
Okay.
that point, like, I consider myself as a car person too, at least now. And we can also talk about that in a minute. But I was like, hey, this country pushes me not to use my car or
Yeah.
not buying any cars at all. I don't think it's a good choice. So let me go with the US.
Yeah.
And US turned out to be definitely an interesting place. So my experience with US was mostly living on the West Coast. So I started from California. I was living and working in California for about 5 years. Then moved to Seattle because I got a job offer from one of the big tech companies in US. And then I moved back to California recently, about the last couple of years. So this is where I am now.
Denis,
All right.
where we are?
We are in Canada. We are in Mount Tremblant.
Mont Tremblant.
Mont Tremblant.
Mont Tremblant.
It's a beautiful place. Plenty of snow. Nice sunny weather. Yeah, it's pretty cool here.
Yeah. I know that you see snow once a year. only when you visit Canada, I presume, right? How's the experience so far?
Yeah, I guess like I prefer to see snow only once a year. For someone who grew up in a place where it snows about 7 months a year, it's a little bit tiring of living in the snow, you know, having to change the tires of a car, having to dig yourself out of the snow every now and then. So it's nice to be in the snow sometimes, see it, you know, play with it, but a few days a year I think is just enough for me.
Yeah, that's good. How you like Canada so far? What do you notice really interesting about it?
Well, we are in Quebec, right? So it's a lot of French-speaking people here, which is interesting for North America. I never knew that. It's basically a different culture here. So much different from like Toronto or Vancouver, where I used to be before. I think Vancouver and Toronto are more America-like, United States-like cities, and here is more of a European vibes over here. So basically, you don't really need to fly to Paris to experience that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Have you tried any dishes while you've been staying here?
Well, I did not try any French dishes. I still went for the American-like food. It was nice. It was nice. I like it.
Yeah. Have you had chance to talk to any locals around here?
Not really. So we are here with the boys. So most of my interactions were with our group, and obviously it was nice. We do have some French people, so that was about it.
Yeah, that's great. How are you getting with the cold? It's pretty damn cold right now.
Not so great, unfortunately. I guess you have this sort of your body adjusts to the cold when you live in a cold environment for a while, maybe for a few years. As soon as you move out of this cold environment and live somewhere else for a couple of years where there is no winter, there is no snow, your body kind of loses this ability to resist the cold. Well, I guess this is where I am. Like, I don't think I'll be able to live in a cold weather, or at least live comfortably for the first year.
Yeah, I know that without feeling cold, you cannot appreciate warmth.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes, you need to see the darkness to appreciate the light more.
Yeah, it's amazing. But I mean, we might get together during the summer around this. It's a lot of hiking areas and a lot of paddling. You can do a lot of
exactly.
Swimming stuff. So we'll maybe try national Russian-Ukrainian food shashlyki.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So or barbecue we can do. So and we will enjoy our thing. What if you're gonna go back to California? How are you gonna explain Canada to other people?
Well, I think I don't have enough experience of Canada because most of the times that I've been in Canada, it was in winter. So I haven't really seen Canada in summer. And I've been told that this summer Canada is totally different.
Oh yeah.
It is basically it's warmer. It's sunnier. There are a lot of beautiful lakes here, beautiful hikes, beautiful places to go camping, beautiful places to go boating. So I don't think I have enough experience of that side of Canada, and I want to get that before I make an opinion about the country. Because Canada needs to be seen in both seasons. So yeah, looking forward to experience Canada more.
Yeah. Have you tried maple syrup?
I tried maple syrup. It's amazing. One of the best things about Canada. And I also got to try the maple whiskey yesterday. That's a thing. It doesn't taste like whiskey. It doesn't taste like maple syrup. It's on a different level. So whoever didn't try it, I highly recommend. It's amazing.
That's really, really amazing to hear. And I think we only have like one brand or two brands of maple whiskey in Canada, and it's definitely something else regarding it. How you enjoy the nature around here?
The views are amazing. The views of the mountains, the views of the lakes, and just walking around the snow is nice as long as you have the proper clothing and as long as the sunshine is here.
Yeah. Does it remind you any childhood stories?
Well, some of them, yes, because that's basically the sort of a Russian kind of nature. Uh, and in Russia in winter, you don't really go out as much in Russia in winter because it's cold and you kind of get tired of the cold very quickly. So you mostly stay indoors in this kind of weather, and you stay indoors. You look outside, you enjoy the snow, and you appreciate the warmth inside. Especially if you are there with your people, with your family, with your friends. Drinking tea, drinking something hot, looking the outside and understanding that, well, even though outside is cold, snowy, windy, inside is much nicer with your people and with this sort of a hot environment. It makes you appreciate it even more.
Yeah. Yesterday you tried the snow plunging.
Yeah.
Could you explain what it is?
So yeah, it's actually it's an amazing thing where you go to a hot environment like spa or like this Scandinavian spa, sauna. You heat yourself up to a certain degree, and then you run out on the cold weather. You run out either into the snow or into a frozen lake, and you just immerse yourself in this freezing environment for 30 seconds to a minute, and then you run back. Apparently, it's very nice to experience. Your body sort of stressed, but stressed enough. And also, I've heard that it's good for health. It has some health benefits besides just being a nice thing to do.
Yeah. We try to encourage a couple of our friends to actually
Of
go and
course,
do it.
yeah. I think the only difference between like the Canada experience and the Russia experience is that I think Russian people tend to drink more when you, for example, do the cold plunges. So it was a little bit new for me to do this in the more of a sober state and a sober environment.
Yeah, understand. If you would take one best memory from here, what it would be?
Well, I like Canadian people. So people in Canada are, in my opinion, nice and interesting to talk to, interesting to interact with. So that's, I guess, the memory that I'm bringing back to California. That Canada is worth visiting, not just for the scenery, not just for the snow and things to do inside and outside, but also people. People to connect with, people to work on projects, people to do things with.
What your first company was when you moved to the US?
So my first sort of a serious big company was a startup in Los Angeles. They were doing car title loans.
Can you say what the
Yeah,
name
the
was?
name was Loanmart.
Walmart? Okay.
Yeah, it's fairly local company, and I joined at the moment when they recently grew up. They recently sort of acquired additional funding, and they had some opportunities for extra automation. And it was a fun place to work on because basically you're working as a part of a small team of like 10 people who are extremely capable, who know their things very well. And since like it was an interesting transition time for me because in Russia, I was a well-known person in my home city when I was living.
Famous.
Not famous, but I made connections.
Okay.
Right? It's not a big city, and we don't have a lot of engineering. At least at that time, we didn't have a lot of engineering people in my home city. So everybody knew everybody, and everybody knew who is capable of what. So I didn't really need to prove myself. But in US, I had to start from ground zero. And in that company that I joined, I basically started from like sort of a junior engineer, I would say, because I didn't have any US experience. I could barely speak English at that point. Like sometimes people didn't understand what do I talk, and I had to like express myself in the programming language rather than in English. But in about 4 years, I grew up from a junior engineer to a manager of the department,
Mm-hmm.
and that was an interesting uh, and exciting journey too. But I guess it was the same. It was the same outcome that I faced.
Mm-hmm.
That at some point I figured out that there's more technical challenges in this company. They are doing much more things than whatever I was doing in Russia. But at some point I also hit the same kind of ceiling. That hey, I solved all of the technical problems there. There is really nothing else for me to do. I need to start looking for something that's bigger.
Mm. That's great. Did you start living in LA right away, or you was living in San Francisco
Yeah,
at that
yeah. I
time?
was mostly in the LA area, and back then Los Angeles. That was about what 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, Los Angeles was actually a pleasant place to live in.
Okay.
We I cannot say the same about Los Angeles of today.
Mm-hmm.
It's you go to downtown, you see a lot of homeless people, you see a lot of tents and all, and it just doesn't look like a safe environment. But back then, Los Angeles was basically a dream destination for me.
Mm-hmm.
Partly because as a person who grew up in Russia and who experienced pretty harsh winters,
Mm-hmm.
I did not like snow. I liked summer, and Los Angeles is basically summer all year round. You have hot summer in the summer, and then you have cold summer in the winter.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I truly enjoyed. And I did not really want to move anywhere because I think I got to the right place from the very beginning geographically. Uh, and I had to move out solely because, well, I needed to get more job opportunities, and I
Mm-hmm.
got one in Seattle.
Gotcha. What was your first car when you moved to LA?
This is also a sort of a funny story. When I first moved to LA, uh, I just bought a used Honda because I need to
Yeah.
go around. But uh, I, when I was growing up, I was a big fan of racing games, and in the racing games, you ride all of the sport cars, all of the
Yeah.
nice ones, the ones that are fast, the ones that are good looking. And I was not driving Honda for a while. At some point, I basically, I think I bought Chevy Camaro, like pretty much like after 1.5 years of living in the country. And at that point, I decided that, well, maybe it's a good idea to just continue driving the fast cars for the rest of my life
Mm.
because I really enjoyed the experience. And since then, obviously Camaro was not there for a while. I then moved to Porsches, and Porsche has nice community of people who like to get together and just do things related to cars. And the two things that the Porsche community does usually is first we go on the tours where we just get together, get a bunch of Porsche people, Porsche cars, and then we just drive around interesting places. So we go to the mountains, we go to some of the desert-related roads. Uh, so that's one thing we do. And second thing that Porsche people also enjoy doing is going on the racetracks and racing. So I also got to experience that, and I got my my professional racetrack driver license. So technically, I can go and be a race driver if I want to. I can also pursue that career, but at least that's something that I'm also doing for fun now. And I guess I probably I highly recommend anybody who considers themselves as a car person who enjoy uh, knowing a lot about cars, who enjoy driving cars of a different kind, to also bring these cars to the racetrack and sort of test the limits of these cars, test all of the capabilities of these cars, and sort of test their own limits too. Because I was always thinking that like driving cars on the racetrack, like Formula One, for example, it's more of a car thing than a driver thing. Like driver is just there, steering the wheel, sometimes pressing the pedals at the right moment. That's it. I did not know how mentally and physically challenging is that to drive your car at 150 miles per hour and basically trying to squeeze milliseconds on every single lap. It's extremely difficult. Like I do a lot of other sports, not just motorsports, of course, as we talked about, and I found racing to be the most exhaustive thing that I do. Much more exhaustive than surfing, much more exhaustive than hiking, much more exhaustive than even martial arts, in my opinion, because as a human beings, we are just not designed for the speeds. But yeah, I would say that sort of being a car person really helps me to just feel better and feel more motivated of doing things, because, well, there is always a new Porsche, there is always a new car, and I guess I need to stay on my game to be able to afford to actually do that.
Yeah. It's hard to see from a camera, but so much excitement coming out right
Of
now
course.
from you.
Of
So
course.
it's just interesting. How many speeding tickets you got
Surprisingly, I got 0 speeding tickets.
since you got to LA?
Yes. I do have an opinion that driving on the streets should be responsible and should be safe, because like on the racetrack, you are taking the risk with your life.
Yeah.
You can drive a little bit faster than the safety limits allow you to, and it's on you. You can crash, you can destroy your car. People rarely have injuries on the racetrack, surprisingly, but people oftentimes damage their cars. And I'm okay with that risk. But the problem is that on the streets, if you're driving fast, if you're driving recklessly, you're putting other people at risk, and that's something that I'm not comfortable with. So if my reckless driving causes me harm, I'm okay with that. If it causes other people harm, no, that's where I draw the line.
That's good.
Want more Google reviews faster? With Apex NFC, your customer can share their experience with just a tap. More reviews mean more visibility, trust, and growth for your business. Stand out from the competition with Apex NFC. Use the code VictorTimewolf for 15% off your first order at apexnfc.com. Start growing your reviews today.
Please roll the dice.
8.
8. If you could meet a... We'll do it again. If you could meet a famous person, who would it be and why?
I guess this answer would probably depend on the moment in time in my life. I think I would really be excited to meet Elon Musk at this point, because I really appreciate that he is a technical person who is running the businesses, and this is something that I'm genuinely aspired to do as well at some point in my life. And I sort of want to have a sneak peek into his way of thinking on like how does he marry the two worlds of being the technically focused guy and also running the businesses at the same time, because technology and business, they have very different skills required to do them. Technology is more of a going deep and understanding like the deep implication of the tech, and business is more about marketing, is more about sales, is more about running operations, like project management and all of this. So people rarely do two things well, and he seems to be a person that does both very well, does both at a very high scale. So I guess it will probably be interesting for me to talk to him and understand, well, how does he operate? Because I think I can learn a lot from him.
If you would come back to Samara, what you would be, who that person would be then?
You mean like if I can come back to like the younger?
Oh yeah, if you would be in a period when you was learning all of that until you was ready to leave Russia, who that famous person would be?
I think if back then, I would probably be super happy to meet any of the famous musicians that I enjoy listening to. But the reality was that after moving to Los Angeles, I got to go to a lot of concerts and actually see these musicians. I didn't get to meet them in person, but whoever I wanted to meet back then when I was in Russia, I got to see them all.
Yeah, but you never met them in person.
I never met them in person.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Who was the biggest one, let's say, before you met them in the concerts and all of that stuff?
Yeah, so I guess like I was a big fan of the band called Linkin Park.
Mm-hmm.
It was very very popular in the early 2000s,
Yeah.
and I was really wanted to meet like basically that band
Mm-hmm.
and see them. Um Not because like I wanted to learn anything from them. They are different people in a different field, but I thought it would just be cool to sort of meet my childhood heroes that I enjoy listening to music to. And funny story was that I actually got to go to their concert when I was in Los Angeles, and that was the best concert of my entire life.
Yeah.
And in terms of the music, the energy, and just the overall experience. So I guess I didn't get to meet them in person, but I get to see them, and they did not disappoint. Because oftentimes when you get to meet the people that you look for and aspire to, oftentimes they don't live up to the expectations because they are human beings. Like
Yeah.
the reality is probably not as good and not as fancy as it is presented in the public domain. But what I felt is that that particular band, they definitely live up to the expectations,
Mm.
and it was very cool to experience.
That sounds very, very exciting. Moving to days now, what do you do now? Where do you work? Where do you live? What cars you race? So
Yeah, I guess my life now is probably a little bit more balanced than it used to be. I guess in my 20s, I was focused much more heavily on my engineering career and sort of trying to do just that and ignoring everything else. I'm trying to live a more balanced life now. I work in a big tech company as a uh, we call it Uber TL role. It's basically a person who guides other technical leads on how to do the things. So it's like tech leader of the tech leaders.
mhm.
And in terms of like engineering challenges, I think I finally got into a place where there is no ceiling. So because I basically had to move countries and move cities and move states before because I reached the ceiling and I couldn't find anything else for me to work on. I think I'm in the right place, at least for the next few years, maybe a decade, where I don't think I'll run out of interest in technically challenging work that I'm working on. And that's probably the reason why I'm staying with this particular company for almost 9 years at this point.
Mm.
Uh, uh, but I think the difference that I experienced in my 30s is that uh, I'm feeling that whatever growth I've done in the technical part is finally coming to an end. Like uh, I can do more to the world than just the technical part, just the technical excellence, just the solving the technical problems. So I am getting more heavily into people coaching these days. I'm getting more into sort of understanding how marketing works and how people do uh, advertise the things that they want to sell, how businesses actually run, and how businesses start and how businesses develop into bigger companies from the small setups. So that's something that I think would be my primary goal for the next few years, sort of to move from a technical person only to something like a mini version of the Elon Musk, a person that can cover the technical part and the non-technical part of the business.
Mm.
And it's helpful for my current position that I'm taking, uh, and it'll probably be helpful for me in my future endeavors because I don't really want to be a full-time employee my entire life. I would like to, at some point, I would like to leave the corporate world and either do something that's bigger or do something that leaves more time for me to do something else.
So you're trying to teach people how to be a better software engineers as well, right?
Yeah.
Tell us one thing that we don't know about software engineer. What's important to know?
Well, I guess before we talk about this, the reason why I got there, and the reason why I think coaching of other people is a very interesting and fulfilling position to be in, is that generally the in software engineering field, the best engineers, they tend to invest into what they're doing a lot. It's not a field where you can just like show up at work, do whatever, go back home, don't even care about what's going on. No, if you are one of the best, you work heavily on what you're working on, you go home, you continue thinking about problems. They stay with you. You are very much emotionally invested in what you're doing. There is no other way around this. And there is a constant problem in the engineering world that whatever engineers work on is not always aligned with what business wants. Like, for example, a group of engineers start working on a project. It was important for business back then. 3 months later, is no longer important. And these people are invested in this, even though business say, hey, you guys should stop working on this and you should start working on something else that's more important for the business. It's very hard for engineers to move on because, well, it's their baby. They want to bring it to life. They want to show it to the world. They want this thing to actually be finished, be done, and contribute to the business. So they usually have a hard time of discarding this and moving on to something else before actually finishing it up. And I've been in this kind of position before when my projects had to be canceled. And it was the right thing to do for the business to cancel it. But it was just emotionally difficult. But I still, as a passionate person, I still need to invest in something when I'm working on the projects. So I do believe that investing in people instead of investing in projects is better, because if you invest in teaching somebody a skill, they will carry the skill over through their entire life.
Yeah.
And that's like there is no consolation there. You work with a person, you teach them something, and then they carry it over to the next project and to the next project. They may not even be aware how impactful was this learning from them, but I know because I see their progression. I see that, hey, they were not able to do something, now they can. So I think that's why I sort of moved from just be more of a project-focused person to be more of a people-focused person. I want to spread the knowledge. I want to help other people learn because it's just satisfying for me. Yeah, I do a lot of coaching in my current position, and I guess one surprising thing that I found about engineers is that engineers are oftentimes nice people. They try to please whoever they work with, and I worked with quite a few engineers in my team to just make them be a little bit less nice, a little bit more assholish, a little bit more selfish, because it helps them and it helps the overall projects. So yeah, I find this pretty interesting that oftentimes what I coach is not just, hey, this is how you're supposed to code things, this is how you're supposed to use the language, use the tools that you have. It's oftentimes like, hey, this is how you're supposed to also collaborate with other people. And a lot of advice that I give, it could be counterintuitive. Like, for example, generally it's we want our people to be nice, but I find out that if people are way too nice, then it's actually hurtful for themselves and for the project that they work on.
Yeah, so when people don't have boundaries, right? To set up boundaries and tell people no, right?
Yeah. Basically, telling people no is a good first step for an engineer who is overloaded with a lot of work. Because a lot of time, good people, good employees, they take way too much on their plate, and they cannot get anything done.
Yeah.
And in order for them to start getting anything done, they need to cut 70% of what they're working on.
Mhm.
And the first step of doing it is to actually say no
Yeah.
to a lot of people.
Yeah. I personally think that first thing what you need to do is not say no to the manager, because managers and other people don't like no, apparently. Give them a choice of opinion. And it looks as you having a list of all tasks what you do, and you basically say, hey, I'm working on this amount of work, what else do you want me to, like, you want me to prioritize
Mhm.
first, right? And either manager would say, okay, stop on all of that stuff, do what I give you to do, or okay, don't worry, we'll find somebody else to do it, right?
Mhm.
So that's, I think, a different, like, not exactly say no, how you able to let person know that, hey, I have more on my plate than I should, and I'm still handling it for now, but what's the priority at this particular moment, right? But if person tell me no, you should do all of them, you basically have unreasonable manager probably.
Yeah, I mean, that's a different problem to have.
Yeah.
Like, I genuinely try to help people discover that thing too. Like, hey, is your manager reasonable or not? And if not, well, you need to find evidence that they are not reasonable.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's another thing that I also coach people to.
That's good. Please roll the dice.
Okay. It's 17. I'm rolling
So,
high today.
17. What is your first job?
My first job was my first real job was actually a technician in my high school. So the high school that I was working on, that I was basically studying, I graduated from it, but I kept good connections with teachers in that school, with the principal as well. And when I turned 18, when I was basically allowed to legally work in Russia, they just offered me a job. It's a reasonably simple job, but still a job of being a system administrator of whatever network they have there. They knew that I have some computer knowledge,
Yeah.
and the job was basically you maintain the computers uh, in the school, which was about network of about 20-25 machines.
Mhm.
You make sure that there is no viruses. You make sure that internet is there. You make sure that students don't break anything. I also got to experience basically assembling computers
Mhm.
from scratch, because what oftentimes happens is that one computer dies because one part of it is not functioning anymore, and another computer dies because another part of the computer is not functioning anymore. So the job was to take these non-functioning computers and basically take the functioning parts of them and then assemble a new one that is actually working.
Yeah.
So that was a fun job. It's not really related to software engineering in any sense, but it was something good for me to experience.
Yeah. So instead of Legos, you got computers to build.
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much. And it was a fun experience too. And I'm happy to tell that I didn't burn anything down as a part of this job.
Mhm.
I know that a lot of people, it's very easy to mess up when you're building up computers. You just
Yeah.
like you put things in the incorrect order. Things just die when you turn them on.
Yeah.
So that never happened to me. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's pretty lucky that I got my first job as a technical job, because I know that a lot of people, they get just a job, like for example being a waiter or being a cook in McDonald's. I think that job was at least somewhat related to my field, and it helped me to learn the hardware part of it a little bit better. So I'm pretty grateful that I had this opportunity.
That's amazing. I usually don't know how many people decided to. How old you was, by the way?
I was exactly 18.
Exactly 18. Yeah, I don't know how many people had even opportunities that somebody will be offered, a job right away.
Well, I guess it probably all comes to networking. Because again, my home city is not that big, and there's not a lot of people to know, generally speaking. So I somehow got to be a well-known person for specifically for my skills. And there was another story there with the same high school that I was in. Uh, when I was in high school, I was uh, excited about learning astronomy as a subject, and there was no teacher, there was no astronomy teacher in the school, so I was just studying it by myself, and it just was an exciting subject that I was passionate about, and my parents were also excited about the same subject too. So I got to know a lot of things about that, and I got to participate in the competitions, like basically across the school, across the different schools in my city, to sort of figure out who is the best at solving the problems in the astronomical space. And I got pretty successful, even though I didn't have a teacher, even though I had to basically study a lot of things by myself. I got to know things. I got to win some of the competitions on behalf of my school, and obviously that was noticed by the teachers and the principal, because they didn't expect that there is a guy from that school who is competing in astronomy, even though there is no astronomy classes in the school. Like, what the hell is going on? So when I graduated from the high school and I started this technician job, which I was reasonably successful at, about 1 year down the line, the principals also talked to me and say, "Hey, we don't have astronomy teacher in the school, but we know that you know the subject. You won the things, and we think you, like, we looked at your work ethics, and it seems to be okay. You can work, and you seem to be responsible enough. So why don't you start studying and teaching astronomy for the high school students?" And that's what I started doing for the next about 4 years. So in the same high school that I graduated to, I started teaching astronomy. I had to prepare my own curriculum. I had to prepare my own program, sort of understand what do I actually need to teach people, not so they can go and solve some problems, but also that they understand a little bit more about the universe. They also understand a little bit more about the world, and they also gain some practical knowledge from astronomy. Like, hey, if you go and look at the night sky, how can you determine where the north is? How can you determine, how much time would it take for the sun to sunset? How do you determine the size of the tides in the sea? It's all astronomical questions that I was teaching my students for, and that was very exciting. It was very challenging because I was basically 19, and I had to teach people who are 16, 17. So the age gap there was almost non-existent. And that experience was vital for me to actually learn how to lead people without being too oppressive and too difficult to work with. But yeah, that was interesting experience that I also had as one of the first jobs. Looking back, there was a period in my life at that time when I basically had full-time university. I had this job as a technician. I had job as astronomy teacher, and I also started my engineering job at some point. So I basically had a college and 3 jobs that I was working on. So at some point in my very early 20s, I was doing nothing but studies and work. And that was a good time for me to sort of understand how much challenge can I take. And I think at some point I hit the limit that says, hey, this is way too much work. I didn't have any time for myself. I didn't have any time to spend on my health or just hang out with friends and all. So at some point I had to dial down. So I had to stop the technician job. And at some point I also had to stop the astronomy teacher job just because I didn't have enough time for everything.
Did students enjoy the astronomy?
Yeah, students enjoyed. And I also kept connections with some of the students when we became pretty good friends after that too.
Do you still keep up with astronomy or not as much?
Well, obviously I cannot teach anything in US. You need to have formal education in the United States to teach things. But as a passion of mine, yeah, I'm following the news. I'm following the recent developments in, let's say, black hole theory and all of that. But it just remains a passion. I don't think it will ever convert into a job-like experience again.
Yeah. Tell me one fascinating fact about astronomy that I probably do not know.
So do you want a practical tip about astronomy or less practical and more theoretical?
Practical.
Okay, well, yeah. I guess I don't think people realize how easy is that to navigate using stars. You just go out in the night sky, you find the Polaris, and it's very easy to find, just knowing a couple constellations in the sky. And I also don't think that people realize how easy is this to understand the time of the day just by looking at the sun and knowing when the sunset is and the sunrise is. You basically just need to like extend your hand, roughly measure like how far the sun away from the horizon, like what is the degree of the angle between the sun and the horizon. That's all you need to know. And it's reasonable knowledge because, like, for example, when I go to the beach, I need to know when the sun is at its maximum in the sky, so I apply some sunscreen. And when it's about to be a sunset, I also need to know when the sunset is, because, well, with my surfing activities, I need to be out of the water 30 minutes before the sunset.
Yeah.
If I'm on the water, I don't have any watch with me, so basically I just look at the sun, I measure the distances that I'm supposed to measure, and that helps me to understand, well, what is the exact timing of the day right now without using any tools. So yeah, that's what I taught to my students, and they actually successfully applied it in practice too in their hiking experiences and in their beach vacation experiences too.
I heard one thing: if you put fingers at the sun between horizon, and every finger would gonna be covering between, it's like finger in an hour.
Well, think of it this way: if you just
about it.
extend your hand like this,
Yeah.
the distance between your thumb and your pinky is the distance that the sun goes in the sky within 1 hour.
Okay.
You generally need to understand, like, does the sun go vertically on the sky if you live in the tropical climates, or if it goes more of a, like, diagonally, which is common for North America. As long as you know that, you can basically predict where the sun will be in, let's say, an hour, a couple hours.
Yeah. Have you read the book Mastery by Robert Greene?
No, not yet.
He have in Mastery, in the last chapter of a Mastery, have a really interesting astronomy fact, which I was not aware of, and I was reading it with excitement. So if you know Moana cartoon from Disney, they was gosh, I forgot what's the word, like travelers and explorers and stuff. I forgot the word what it's called. So apparently, right now they have a Mastery map star navigator, and by flow of the rivers and all the flow of the rivers, the position of the stars and all of that, they're able to navigate from island to island way before GPS was existing. And he describing the stories in such an amazing fact, like that's how you need to achieve mastery, like they're navigating stars. So I would 100% recommend you to read that book and read that chapter.
Absolutely, absolutely. As a person, I mean, we kind of talked about my geographical experience where I lived, but besides me living on the west coast of the United States, I also had experience of living in Hawaiian Islands for about half a year, and I get to learn a lot about Hawaiian culture, even though, like, there's not a lot of Hawaiian culture left in Hawaiian Islands, unfortunately. But it always fascinated me how Hawaii got populated, because it's an island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, far away from everything. Yet people were brave enough and smart enough and knowledgeable enough to get there without any navigational tools, without reliable boats, using just winds and sort of some feelings that, hey, if the birds are coming out of this way, there is a land there and we need to find it. I don't think anybody today realizes how difficult was that to sail thousands of miles in the open sea, knowing that you may find something there or you may just die because of the next storm. None of us experience this anymore. Obviously, we have technology, we have good machinery now, but it always fascinated me that these islands actually got populated by people somehow thousands, thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
That's amazing. Please roll the dice.
Rolling a die. 13.
If you were a pilot of a plane, where would you go right away?
If I were a pilot of the plane, I wouldn't go anywhere specifically. I think what I would do, I would just fly around and just enjoy the view. I think it was probably one of the dreams that I have that I will hopefully have time to achieve. I would like to fly planes one day myself because, well, it's probably the next natural evolution from driving fast cars. Like at some point, the car cannot go any faster than a certain speed. The next level is planes. And every single time I fly planes for business or for vacations, I really enjoy the view from the top. And I'm always sad that I cannot just like take a detour around that particular mountain and just observe and watch it fully. So if I had a plane, I would definitely just take off and fly around with no particular goal, just to observe things from the top, seeing the beauty of the earth. I think it will be fascinating.
Yeah. My question will be continuing in coaching aspect, and I know you're running YouTube channel finally.
Yes.
And it's really exciting for anyone who want to learn more about software engineer or how to start it or any specific tools. I will put the link down below about
Thank you.
about Denis software engineer coaching free coaching material. So so you want to become a coach and you're slowly moving, and at work you're practicing this mentorship and all of that stuff. How far in 2 years do you see yourself doing it like full time?
It's a good question. It's one of the potential opportunities that I see as sort of a full-time career at some point. What I think this is probably something that most people experience in their life is that there's a moment where they understand that well, money is not the only metric of success. Money is not the only metric of happiness.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, knowledgeable people, when they reach the point, there is a need to share the knowledge. There is a need to share the wisdom, to help others. And it's useful for people that you teach things to. It's also satisfying for yourself. And I think I'm roughly at that moment in time where I'm excited to share what I know. I do have basically close to 20 years of experience in the engineering field with the different technologies, with the different type of projects, companies. And I guess my current goal for the next few years is to find ways to just share the knowledge. Just by itself, I think it's satisfying. And YouTube channel is the first thing that I'm trying. Basically, just putting the knowledge out there, see if somebody would be interested in that, and sort of understand, well, where is the demand for the knowledge? Because different engineering circles, they need different type of knowledge. I think I'm at the point right now where I'm sort of trying to figure out what is areas of engineering that are currently being underserved by content creators that I can fill in. Like, for example, there's plenty of materials on like how to start coding, basically very basic things. I'm not going to do that. There's already a lot of great creators there in that field. I'm mostly interested in sort of exploring some advanced topics that is very hard to find knowledge about. And that's the main reason why I started YouTube channel. And we'll see how it goes. If that will be the first step into a brand new direction, I would be happy to explore that. But I guess I cannot guarantee that YouTube will be the only thing that I'll be working on in terms of knowledge sharing in the next few years. I'll probably venture into some other things too.
That's amazing. How do you see yourself 5 years from now?
I think it's pretty hard for me to see 5 years down the line because I do believe that I'm currently in a transitional period, sort of trying to understand, well, if earning a lot of money is not that big of a concern, and if the priority is uh, to try to make the world a little bit more knowledgeable and a little bit better, a little bit more efficient by the knowledge that I have, how would that be? How would I structure that? So I think that's the challenge that I have, and if I successfully solve it within the next 5 years, I think it would be a good accomplishment. So if, let's say, in 5 years, I do have a successful, let's say, coaching business, I think that would be a nice place to be in. What I also need to note is that as we grow old, obviously, the more and more there is a more and more need to pay attention to your health, both mental and physical, and that's also one of the areas that I'm actively working on right now. So basically, workouts, making sure that the cardio is there, making sure that the nutrition is there. So I really want to sort of understand what is my genetic limit in that area. Basically, how much muscle can I gain? How much fat can I lose? What are the sort of challenge-specific limitations? Like how quickly can I run?
Yeah.
I don't know how long can I serve, and all of this kind of things. So that's another area that I really want to explore within the next 5 years, to sort of be in a position in my early 40s where I'm saying that, hey, well, I tested a lot in terms of my body, and I know what my body is capable for, because like as we talked before, I think I know what my work ethic is capable for, like what is the amount of work that I can take, because I really pushed it to the limits in my 20s. I really want to push my body to the limits as well, and sort of understand what is this body capable of doing.
That's good. How did you break a ligament or ankle? I'm not sure what did you broke actually.
Yeah, so this is less of a long-term discussion, and it's mostly something that happened recently to me. So you may think of like a person who does racing, a person who does kite surfing, which is an inherently dangerous sport. You can easily die from doing that. The person who is always out there. Some of these activities may actually be harmful and may cause damage to the body. You may easily break your leg or break your arm, break anything. So surprisingly, when you're doing the dangerous activities, you're very careful. Like when I'm driving on the racetrack, I'm extremely cautious. I'm full in there. Same thing with surfing. Like I'm trying to be as careful as I can, not doing crazy stuff, not being reckless. However, when you're doing the normal everyday activities or some easy sports, you're paying less attention to what you're doing.
Yeah.
And this is how I had a pretty bad injury last year when I was just playing pickleball, which is a sport for all ages. And it's supposed to be an easy sport, but apparently I didn't pay enough attention to what I was doing. I tripped pretty hard. I sprained my ankle. I fractured my bones. And it took a while for me to recover. And that was not a good time for me recovery-wise, because like mentally, if you are recovering from a leg injury for a few months, you cannot walk, you cannot really do anything that you like doing. You're just sitting there at home trying to wait until this thing heals, and it doesn't heal fast.
Yeah.
So I guess that's another area of my life that I want to make sure that I'm covering, is that even when I'm pushing myself for the limits, I want to make sure that the body is undamaged, and I'm still capable of doing things physically while pushing myself to the limit.
Interesting. Okay, at this time we're gonna roll 3 times.
And choose the best.
Well, no, just roll once, and I will ask you a question.
4.
If you were a dog, what type of dog you would be?
If I was a dog, would probably be Shiba Inu.
Shiba Inu.
Yeah, the Japanese dog, who is, I feel like this kind of dogs, they are uh, a little bit more reserved in the sense that they don't look as happy as, let's say, golden retrievers.
Mm-hmm.
They are a little bit like less doggy, I would say, because dogs, they are usually very excited about things. I think I'm probably a more reserved person, and it takes time for me to develop connections, develop rapport with people. And Shiba Inus, I feel like they are the kind of dogs.
Mm. Do you have any animals at home?
No, I don't have animals at home, unfortunately. I do travel a lot for business, for meeting people, for just vacations.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty hard to have a pet when you are not at home half of the time.
Well, I mean, you can take the pet with you
Uh,
in a little carry-on.
yeah, it's possible, but
Or
then,
buy a ticket on a plane.
yeah, if I would have a pet, I would definitely have a dog, and I'll have at least a mid-sized dog, maybe even bigger.
Yeah.
So it would be a challenge to just keep the dog around.
Yeah. See, roll again.
2.
2. If you were a cat, what kind of cat you would be?
Oh, we're going.
Well, that's you. You're rolling this.
We're
so.
going to the animal world. Cat. Probably would be a lion.
Lion.
A lion, yes. Because I think like what lions do, the way they hunt is that they generally go after a big prey. They hunt it, they eat it, and then they just lay down and process the food.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's roughly my approach to life too. I prefer to take bigger goals on me, achieve them, and then enjoy the results of it.
Mm.
I wouldn't be happy with like small little bites here and there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think lions are just cool.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it counts as a cat or not.
Yeah, well, it's a cat family, but
Mm-hmm.
but I wanted to ask. We have different type of lions. So which lion you would see yourself with? Like
I mean, probably African lion.
African,
Yeah,
basically, with a huge,
with a huge, yeah.
huge whatever,
Yeah,
whatever word.
for viewers, it's kind of hard, probably hard to imagine. But for most of my life, I had a long hair. That
Oh, I saw your avatar. Yeah.
exactly. So I basically I looked like a lion at some point in my life. Obviously, this is gone now. We are not
Yeah.
getting any younger, and like the
Yeah.
longer hair doesn't look as good as it used to be. But yeah,
Yeah.
number 1.
What is the scariest memory you have?
Oh, I'll need to think about it for a second. I don't know what is like the scariest memory in my life. I probably had some scary moments in my childhood, because it was rough in Russia in the 90s, so not everything was good. But I probably don't have a good knowledge. I don't have a good recollection of this memory. So my recent memory of a scary situation that I got into was about 5 years ago. I was staying in Hawaii. I was surfing in Hawaii, and I was going on the kite pretty far away from the shore. So it was like basically a couple miles away. And in this sport that I'm doing, which is kite surfing, you need wind constantly. So if you have wind, then your parachute in the sky, it stays in the sky and it can drag you anywhere you want. But as soon as the wind drops, you are basically helpless. You cannot really do anything. And I went far away from the shore because I guess I wasn't I, I wasn't as cautious back then, and I was a little bit more reckless. And when I'm far away from the shore, the wind died. So my parachute drops into the water. I cannot really go anywhere. And I also realized that this is the end of the session, of the very long session. And I do have literally zero energy in me left to swim back to the shore. And it's a couple miles. So it would probably require for me to swim for 2 hours at least. And it's also sunset. So I know that as soon as the sun sets, nobody will be able to find me in the sea. It's pretty far. And the winds start blowing away from the shore. So if I just stay in the sea, I will be blown off even more away from the shore. And the next land far away is thousands of miles away. So I won't be getting there if I just stay there and do nothing. That was a pretty scary moment in my life, because I think it was probably the closest to the slow death that I've ever been, where I know that, well, I know what I need to do, but I probably won't be able to do it. And I will likely die, because in the darkness, I will get lost. Sharks will get me, anything that may happen. Luckily, in that kind of situation, I had my phone with me, and I had just enough connection to make a 911 call at the very last possible moment. With like breaking voice, I was able to explain to the Coast Guard what's happening. Then my phone died, and
Wow.
they send a military ship to search for me in the darkness. And a couple hours later, they found me in the waters somehow, miraculously. They pulled me out of the water, and I was okay. I was scared to death. I was still trying to get into the shore swim.
Dehydrated, probably. Dehydrated, probably.
Less of a dehydrated, more of a like ready to die at this point. Because, well, I know how difficult it is to find people in a wavy ocean in the nighttime. It's close to impossible. But yeah, apparently they found me. They brought me back to the shore. They didn't charge me a single penny, which I was very grateful for. And I get to live my life now. So that happened on the Christmas day, actually, in 2020. So now I do celebrate two birthdays. I celebrate my normal birthday, and I also celebrate that one, because that was probably the closest I was to death in the recent 10 to 15 years.
Sounds like military had a casual go find a guy. Okay. Like,
yeah, I'm so grateful for people who took their time on Christmas night, not to be with their families, but go and save the ass of a very reckless guy who probably deserved to die at this point. Yeah, I'm very grateful for that. And since then, I just start being a little bit less reckless, because I don't want to die. Not because, well, obviously I value my life, but I also don't want people who love me to suffer from my death.
Yeah.
So I start thinking a little bit more about that after that.
That's amazing story.
Thank you. Well,
Thank you.
I wish it didn't happen, but as a story, yeah, I think it's
well,
pretty
now
amazing.
we're laughing at it. Maybe at that moment it was the scariest, right? Like,
Yeah, probably.
and stuff. So wow, never heard that before from you. I enjoy doing this right now, because every podcast what I record with people, like, I find out something new about them, and that's mostly important. What I'm trying to do this podcast to actually, like,
I mean, yeah, that's also pretty interesting to explore that too.
So,
Yeah.
So yeah, what last question I will ask about the story? What your thoughts was going through about it? Like, I understand probably that I'm gonna die here, or whatever. Like, what he was doing during those 2 hours when sunset went. Like,
well, surprisingly, when you are in this kind of situation, the only thing you can think of is, what can I do? Maybe it's just me, but I'm a very actionable person when it comes to difficult situations. I try to shut my emotions off and try to think for a solution. And I think that was one of the reasons why I actually got saved, because the phone was the first thing that I thought. It's like, yes, there is probably no connection here, but let me try. And that was successful. And then I also knew that, well, if I swim towards the shore, if I try to swim towards the shore, I probably have better chances. That I'll just like lay down, wait for my death to come. So I was like basically trying to figure out, well, what is the best route for me to swim given the currents, given the wind direction. Like, if I were to make into the shore, like, will I be able to like aim for a certain peninsula on the island, aim for the next beach? Like, what would be the best trajectory there? How do I sort of save my energy? Do I need to like ditch my equipment and just swim by myself, or do I need to still carry my board, and my other stuff that I had with me. So all of this, it keeps you busy enough, and the adrenaline is also keeps you looking for more solutions rather than just stop doing anything and start crying. So I'm pretty sure that if I'll get to a similar situation in the future, I will likely be looking for solutions and sort of understanding what would be the best actions going forward, rather than giving up and not doing anything.
Thank you for sharing this.
Yeah,
This was amazing.
It's an interesting story to share, indeed.
Yeah, and last but not least, if you would be 20, what you would recommend your younger self?
Yes, and I think I would recommend this. Well, there are two things that I think I've done. There are two important things that I think all people should be thinking about. And I've done one of them right, and I've done another one wrong. The right thing that I would definitely tell my 20-year-old is that you need to, if you want to be successful, you need to choose a right field for you in life. Unfortunately, not all of the areas in life reward hard work and reward dedication. Like if you are a taxi driver, there is only so much you can do to be the best taxi driver in the world. People probably want to appreciate you being the best taxi driver in the world. So there is a limit there. You can be a taxi driver, but it's not a good long-term strategy. You will need to find something else. So I would definitely tell my younger self that you need to be in a field that appreciates hard work. And it's usually fields that scale really well. So I think engineering is one of this field. Like the best engineers are 100 times better than average engineers. So by putting, let's say, 2-3 times more effort, you are not getting 2-3 times better. You're getting 100 times better. Mm. And same thing with sales, I think. Salespeople, they also scale really well. So either this kind of fields or the fields where you are making an important binary impact for people's lives. Like, for example, lawyers or doctors. The difference between a good lawyer and a bad lawyer is that a good lawyer will help you not to be in jail. The difference between a good doctor and a bad doctor is that with a good doctor, you will not die during the surgery. So in these fields, the dedication, hard work, and skills, they really matter. They're really important. So I do recommend people who like me, who are interested in excelling in life, to get into these fields. And not to get into the fields that don't have this kind of rewards. So that thing I think I've done really well. The second thing that I would tell my 20-year-old self is to never forget about health. Never forget about your physical health. Never forget about your mental health. It's not worth sacrificing both of this, no matter what you do. In my 20s, I was not really paying enough attention to my health. So I was not working out. I didn't have good nutrition. I was overweight. And it took me many years to get back on track in my 30s to be a healthy human being. So health is very easy to lose and very hard to gain back. So the sooner people realize that, preferably in their 20s, preferably in their teens, the better. So if I had one advice to give to my former self, it would be just spend 3 hours a week in gym. Just eat less crappy food. Just do a little bit more sports. This will go a long way.
Thank you for your wisdom, Denis.
Well,
I appreciate I hope it's useful coming today. Yeah, it is. It's a lot. I hope everybody will process it, and I hope one day I will see you as a coach, and we'll maybe sit down and do it again. And
absolutely. Thank you for inviting me. This is very interesting conversation. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.